Veronica Winsch, and I'm a certified family wellness practitioner and the owner of Holistic Living Now. You can find us at holisticlivingnow.com, where you'll see other videos on how to make delicious goodies in the blender. Today, we're not going to use the blender. We are just going to do something on the stove, and it's Hearty Miso Soup. And you may be asking, what is miso? I'm not familiar with that food. So that's what I wanted to show you, because this soup is very nutritious and it's really helpful to rebuilding your immunity, to supporting bone health, and also for detoxification. Spring is coming and it's a great time to detoxify, but we're also just living in a very toxic environment day in and day out. Anything that we can do to reduce that toxicity is something that's going to be very supportive to our health. So what I wanted to introduce to you today is kombu. Kombu, or seaweed, it's one of the plants that grow in the ocean. It grows to about 1,200 feet tall. It's not even a seaweed that you have to eat. It looks like this before it's been reconstituted in your soup, and it imparts to your soup a nice flavor. You don't have to use salt because this has salt in it because it's from the ocean. But what's wonderful about seaweed and other vegetables from the ocean is that it really, really supports detoxification. So you don't even have to eat this. It's just going to be flavoring your broth, but you will get the benefits of that detoxification once you eat the soup. So that's one of the main ingredients. You can't have miso soup without kombu. And you can see there are various varieties out there. It's not that hard to find. Then, of course, the miso. Miso is basically a bean paste that's been fermented. And this is a brand that I love, South River Miso. You can find it easily online. You want a miso that's in a jar, in a glass jar rather than plastic. The benefit of miso is that it is, since it's fermented, it's a live enzyme food. What does that mean? Well, that means that it really supports good digestion, and when digestion is good, you actually absorb the nutrients in your food. And today, with our fruits and vegetables not having as many nutrients as they once did, that's really important. So supporting digestion, miso is a great tool for that. And also, it gives a wonderful flavor to your soup. There's varieties that are a little bit more hearty and deep flavored, and then there are sweeter varieties that tend to be lighter in color. So that's another wonderful way to flavor the soup. But you can't have miso soup without kombu or miso. Then some of the other ingredients I like to add, which make it a hearty and a full meal soup, is that you want to add a yam and or a sweet potato. So those are great. If you could get organic, that's preferred. And then we're going to start out with a nice simple yellow onion. Just quarter it and stick it in the pot with the kombu strip. And then we'll do some shiitake mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms are also studied and are very supportive against cancers. And so these are easy to find in most grocery stores, you know, a little bit more on the gourmet side. But they add such a deep richness to the soup, and they're a little meaty. So again, it's really a filling soup. So those are shiitake mushrooms, and tofu. Tofu is a good source of protein. You want to make sure that you get non-genetically modified tofu or soy, and the firm variety. So then it's kind of like little chunks in your soup. And it will take on the flavor of the soup as tofu does, which makes it really hearty again. And then as a garnish, scallions. So onions are wonderful for detoxing. These scallions get put on the soup as a garnish, so they're not even cooked. So you have some cooked onion and some raw onion, and so again, it's really supportive to detoxification. So this is a soup. It's my go-to recipe. I learned it at my nutrition school, Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and it is one of the recipes that within a half an hour, I have a great meal to sit down to. When I started to eat this soup, my body really craved it. So I knew that there were really good things in this soup that my body needed to rebuild and detoxify. So that's why I want to invite you to try it. Everybody I make it for tends to love it, and they feel very nourished once they've eaten it. So come on, let's go to the kitchen and chop up our ingredients and get this soup cooking. Okay, so the pot of water is on the stove and it's boiling. Throw in your kombu and then get to cutting vegetables.
Onion is rich in quercetin, which is a powerful flavonoid, and that helps to protect against cancer. Just get the peel off of the outside by cutting each end, quarter it, and throw it right into the soup. Really, you don't have to do much chopping here. The key is fast. Next, we're going to peel our sweet potato, or if you're using yam. And these are the places where you really want to invest in a good peeler. A good knife makes the job go a lot faster. And as you can see, I'm not dicing anything fine. We want nice big chunks. We want a hearty miso soup. Those go in as well and continue to boil with the onion. You can stir it around. Next thing you want to do is, with a damp cloth, wipe off your shiitake mushrooms. If you wet them, they will actually become dense and chewy. You don't want that. Once they're wiped off, gently peel off the stems underneath and separate it from the caps. When the caps are all separated, pile them up and chop them. They're very, very easy to chop. I like to chop them in these nice slivers. So check on your soup. Are your potatoes softening? Next thing you want to do is mash them up with a masher. That's going to make the soup creamy. Add in your shiitakes. And then the next thing you want to do is chop up your tofu. And since I've made this soup so many times, I have my little system of chopping my tofu where I get these cute little squares. And again, it's super easy to cut, goes very fast. And you're not cooking the tofu per se, you're just warming it up and having it take on the flavor of the soup. Finally, scallions. Scallions are good for blood pressure and keeping cholesterol levels in check. They are a rich source of vitamin K, which helps to strengthen bones. And they're also plentiful in the B vitamins, which are mood enhancing. And they also have essential minerals. This is a garnish, so we're not cooking these. We're just going to chop them finely and put them off to the side for later. Our soup is done, so it's time to turn off the flame.
Okay, so our soup is cooked. Now we just have to assemble it. And this is where the miso comes in. So miso cannot be cooked. That's why we add it at the very end. And what we're going to do is kind of temper the miso. So we're just going to spoon some miso, and this one is hearty brown rice. And when you smell it, it smells fermented, it's got a rich aroma, and it's quite dark, and it is paste. That's miso paste. So you're just going to take, if you're making one bowl, you're just going to take a little bit, maybe a little less than a tablespoon. And if you want to mix your flavors, it's a great idea. This one is more of a sweet miso. This one is sweet tasting brown rice. So sometimes I take a little spoonful of each to equal up to like a nice sized tablespoon. I put that in my bowl. My bowl is empty, as you can see, but my soup here is piping hot, and the broth is what's going to warm up that miso. So with your ladle, just take a nice big spoonful of broth and pour it over the miso. You can take another one if you need. And let the miso paste dissolve in the broth. And you just want to mix it up until it makes a dark, rich broth. Now, if you were going to serve this soup to your whole family, you would just dissolve the miso in this little bit of broth, and you would pour it back into your bowl of soup or your pot of soup. Now, you would have to finish that soup all in one sitting. You wouldn't want to reheat it because you'd be damaging all the good things in the miso. But what we're going to do is we're going to do single serving. So if you had a bunch of people at dinner, you would put the miso paste in those bowls, kind of let it dissolve in the broth, and then pour in the miso soup on top, the nice hearty chunks. So we have our tofu and onion, our shiitake mushrooms, and it's piping hot. So that's how hearty miso soup looks. And again, you just want to mix in the broth, make sure it's all throughout the soup. And as far as garnishes go, that's where our scallion comes in. So we chopped up some scallion. We're going to just sprinkle some on top as a garnish. And something I did not mention is gamasio. These are sesame seeds, but they have seaweed in them. So instead of salt, it's seasoned with seaweed. And seaweed, like I said, has great detoxifying powers, and it's a great source of minerals. So wherever you can add it, you can do that. And this is a great condiment by Eden. So you just want to sprinkle that on top and enjoy your miso soup. So I'm glad that you joined us today, and I would love to hear back to hear how you liked your miso soup, how your family enjoyed it, and what your variation on this recipe is. That's it for me today. I'm Veronica Winsch from Holistic Living Now, signing off and wishing you happy health and wellness and happy miso soup.